and how to feed, have herd sheep. It was only after they went in and conquered Egypt that they now come out with this new life and knowledge. This resurrection of the old classics and the zero and all that. And it was the indigenous Africans still living in what came to be misnomered as Egypt and Kemet there, which introduced them and taught them just like they had taught the Greeks, the Romans, and everyone else who had conquered them. For as Asa here tells us, they conquered us militarily, but we always conquered them culturally and scientifically, for we had the knowledge to do that. Why, even in slavery, they had to depend on the black slaves to teach them how to do things. So even though we were their slaves, we still had to conquer them morally and intellectually. I want you to think about that. They didn't have to teach us how to read and write when we first got here. We already knew how to do that. It was only the next generations where they had taken that from. But we had to come back and learn that again. Most of them who brought us here couldn't read and write. Now, at the time that these Africans went into Spain, not 5 kings or queens throughout all of Europe in any of their nations could read or write. Not 5 were literate. And couldn't anybody read the Bible but a few of the priests who could read, and it was chained to the wall so that only they could read it. The common people did not have it. I'm trying to get you these good God-fearing people with these halos around their head that came and over here, killed up the indigenous red man and captured us and brought us the light of God and Christianity and Jesus. Most of them didn't know it, so how could they teach us anything about it? Now, when the Moors came in, they brought with them the light of knowledge and established the first universities there. They also taught geography from globes. That's a matter of record. They taught from globes, and even after they taught in Spain for some 800 years, the Spanish still believed that the world was flat. For hard people to teach. And if you haven't learned that by now, as the song says, if you don't know it by now, you'll never know it. Why am I going through all this? Because the African had been sailing ships up and down the Nile, up and down the Niger, up and down the Senegal River for thousands of years. Navigational science was a way of life to him. That kind of knowledge did not exist in Europe before the Africans, before the Moors went and took it to Europe. I'm sorry we did it, but it happened. Now, in 1310, Mansa Muhammad Abubakar II looked out over the Ethiopian Sea. It wasn't called the Atlantic Ocean. It was the Ethiopian Sea. How do I know that? Because I looked at the maps of the 15th and the 16th century. There. And others have looked at it. He looked out over the sea. He said, if we can navigate the Niger, he was the emperor of the Mali Empire at that time. He said, if we can navigate the Sahara Desert, we can deal with that Ethiopian Sea out there. So he went to work building. He went to work building with a knowledge which had been preserved by the University of Sankore at Timbuktu and other university systems right there in the motherland. And he sent out 200 ships, 100 with crews of Africans, and 100 for supplies to carry them for 2 years if necessary. Now, I mean, if you think you can go on the ocean for 2 years, you bad stuff. You know something. Because the man loved his people, he was responsible for the people, he was the leadership, he wouldn't send them out somewhere not knowing where he was sending them. And he told them, say, don't stop till you come to land. I know there's land over there because our people have been traveling over there ever since the days of the pharaohs and possibly before. Some time passed by and only one ship came back. And the ship captain that came back, according to the report given by Abu Bakari's successor, says that his report went thusly. Sire, we traveled and we followed the wind gust that would take us straight across the Ethiopian Sea. But we reached a place where there was a great churning river and an awesome mist. And all the other ships went into that mist and I never saw them again. We somehow got spent out of it and were headed back in this direction, so we came home. So what did Abu Bakr II do? In 1311, I said, what year did I say? 1310, now we have 1311. How far is that from 1492? 1311 now. This black man says, hook me up 400 ships. 200 to carry people and 200 to carry supplies. And I'll see you later. He gave him 5 and got in the wind. After conferring the emperorship on Mansa Musa. He was never heard from on the continent again. But the records of the Aztecs, the Olmecs, and some of the other people there recorded that a strange group appeared on their land. Hundreds upon hundreds of black men with gold spears and golden shields, and one tall jet black man with gold in his braids and his hair. Golden slippers stood under a golden pavilion. And the indigeni bowed down and said, "Hail our God, Quetzalcoatl has returned." That's in 1311. Now, before I get back up to 1492, y'all all right? Okay, I don't want to bore you with all this stuff. Before I get up to 1492, I got a couple more dates. Because it's impossible to talk about Columbus without a whole bunch of other names coming up before you. Of course, we know Cortez, Hernandez, Balboa, and all the rest of them. None of them were noble people. They were not noble men. They were criminals, sea dogs, pirates, and deserved no honor from us. But also there is Prince Henry the Navigator, Bartholomew Diaz, Vasco da Gama, and Jan von Riebeck. Because at the time now that they were preparing, when they were about to drive out, I got to come back to 1492 and then switch back a minute. I'll be coming back and forth, but you can hang with me. The last stronghold of the Moors, who had been there for some 800 years. And as Dr. John Henry Clark said, it was one of the few times that Africans had partnerships with other people and they came out all right for a while. The Arabs betrayed us in the end. The Jews we brought into Europe helped to get us out of, the black Jews we brought in, undermined us with the Spanish to help the downfall of the last stronghold of the Moorish Empire of the Kingdom of Granada in 1492. The same year that your boy made his travel, got lost. When they drove the Moors out of Spain, this is what they declared: we cannot afford to be embarrassed by the superior intelligence of these people any longer. They must not be allowed to get themselves strengthened and come back here again. They will never rise again, and the only way to stop them is to go to the lands from which they emanate and stop them. We couldn't do that before because we did not know how to navigate the sea. We did not know how to build ships. But now that we have run them out of here, we can take the knowledge that they left behind and we can now go and exploit the world. Not explore the world, exploit the world. And in that way, we can continue to ensure our genetics.